Hey, you fine, fabulous book people. It is well read, Beard. It is a damn fine day to talk about a book. We are here for Beard on King, episode 34, Song of Susannah, book 6 in the Dark Tower series. Um, I recently did book 4.5, which is One Through the Keyhole. Before that, I did Wolves of Kala. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there this time. I'm very repetitive, but just quickly, in case this is the first time you've ever watched me talk about the Dark Tower, I read books 1 through 3 3 times. I've read book 4 twice. So I read books 1 through 3, stopped. I actually waited for 4 to come out, like I was that old or young or however you want to say it. I waited for book 4 to come out. When it came out, I read it, and then when book 5 finally came out, however long it was between book 4 and 5, I did not go back to it for whatever reason. And then like 5 years ago, I read books 1 through 3 again, and for whatever reason stopped and didn't go any further. And then just like last year, I started doing these reviews, but I redid books 1 through 4 in audio, because I really wanted to read 5, 6, 7, and 8, 8 being 4.5. I really wanted to read them, but I felt like I couldn't just start in the middle. So I redid 1 through 4 again. So that's where we're at. But now I've done Kala, I've done Keyhole, and now I've done Song of Susannah, and I have started. It's right here. I have started the Dark Tower. So I'm gonna try to make it through this entire thing this time. Now, this book, I liked it more than Wolves of Kala. I liked it more than Wind Through the Keyhole. So this is my favorite of the most recent ones that I've read. I think I like it more than Wizard and Glass. Probably not more than Drawing of the Three. Probably not more than The Wastelands. But yeah, I like this book. We'll say 3.5 to 4 stars, somewhere in there. There's one element to this book that takes the element from Wolves of Kala that I liked, which was Father Callahan. There's an aspect to this book that I like even more than that, and we'll get into that. So, we still don't feel like we're really advancing towards the tower. Like, we were in Calibrin Sturgis in book 5, and Mia, Susannah slash Odetta disappeared through the cave with the help of Black 13, whatever Mia is controlled to go and deliver this whatever it is that she is pregnant with. Now we find out a lot of stuff about the origin of this baby, and before I go much further, I don't really try to keep these things spoiler free. This book came out a long, long time ago. My assumption is you've either read it or you don't really care about spoil. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is if this was a brand new book or a book in my hands that like an arc that hadn't been released yet, then I try not to do any spoilers. But this book came out in 2004, so um, she's carrying something inside her. Now, what we realize is that is in some ways. All right, I'm going to try to get through this um, mixed up pregnancy. Roland did a thing with like this oracle type thing, who then did a thing with Detta slash Odetta in the ring of. I don't know if you remember that, but it happened, and is that, somehow this is Roland's child. No, got confused. Going to be confusing to explain to Eddie at some point, but somehow this is Roland's child in Susannah. Immaculate, somewhat immaculate conception, so to speak. I don't know. It's weird. So anyway, she's pregnant. She's disappeared into a version of America to have this child. And Callahan and Jake are have kind of gone after her to rescue, stop it from happening, however you will. Now, as far as that part goes, it ends on a pretty big cliffhanger with like the birth happening and like Jake and Callahan. Did I say Jake? I don't know if I got mixed up. Jake and Oy and Callahan kind of going into the fray, so to speak. This place is stocked with low men in yellow coats. If you don't know what that means, look that one up. Because I'll be honest with you, look, like a lot of this terminology and stuff. I mean, I know that I've ran into low men in yellow coats. It was Hearts in Atlantis, wasn't it? And of course in these books, but also vampires, uh, vampires and low men in yellow coats, and this other thing called tahine, I want to say, and they're like um, humans with like animal heads. And anyways, I'll give you a picture of it like this. So this is like a bird-headed type tahine. They often dress in business clothes, whatever. Um, the gist is that's half of our quartet. That's what they're up to now. Roland and Eddie are trying to track down Calvin Tower to gain possession of the empty lot that holds the rose. The rose is symbolic or a direct link to the Dark Tower. Their thoughts are if the rose is destroyed, the Dark Tower will be destroyed, and they're in competition for this. Somebody else is also trying to get this lot from Calvin Tower. If we remember, Calvin Tower is the owner of the bookstore where Jake gets the riddle book and the choo choo book. So it's a lot. It's a lot for me. It's a lot for me too. But so anyway, so that's where they're at now. After they do the deal with Calvin Tower, after they secure the lot, so to speak, they decide to take a little side trip to go meet Stephen King. Stephen King is a character in this book, and initially I could not decide whether I thought that was really cool or really not cool. And I have settled on really cool because I've also said that while I really like the way this pulls all of King's work together, the dog's barking. I don't know if you can hear that. I mean, I'm not the hugest fantasy fan, and I'm damn sure not a Western fan, really. And so these books haven't been, and these are a lot of these are big sons of guns. These have not been my favorite Stephen King books. So something about seeing Stephen King, the the storyteller in the story, for me, it was super cool. Now the crazy thing is this is book 6. And we meet a version of Stephen King that has not even really completed book 1. Like, he's written about Roland, and he's written like the first part of that, but like he hasn't even got to the way station yet. He hasn't even gotten to where Roland meets Jake. So he doesn't even know who Eddie Dean is. And so Roland and Eddie talk with Stephen King. Roland hypnotizes him and kind of, gets some information, but basically kind of spurns, what's the word I'm looking for? Encourages him strongly to write the rest of the story. They think it's very important that he writes the rest of the story. They think it really has a lot to do with their future and the Dark Tower and if they get there and so to speak. So if you remember, like back in Wolves of Kala, again, Father Callahan is there, the priest from Salem's Lot. We actually find a book, Salem's Lot by Stephen King, and so we have already realized that these worlds intersect. This mid world of Roland and Eddie and Father Callahan. Now, it's somehow been written about. I mean, Father Callahan's escapades or whatever in Salem's Lot has been written by an American author named Stephen King. So anyway, we meet Stephen King. It's very early, and then we kind of break away and go do what's next. And then we go back to Callahan and Jake, and like I said, that kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Now, um, there's so much more in here that I am passing over. I am not the Dark Tower expert by any means. What this is for me um, is basically a video reading journal. I do not plan on reading these again, so when I want to look at what I thought about them 10, 20 years from now, I want to be able to do this. Now, at the end of this book, there is excerpts from Stephen King's journal from 1977 all the way up to 1999, and it talks about him writing the series. It actually talks about him writing books one and how that got completed, and then two, three, four. Along the way, we hear little tidbits about it and Pet Cemetery and The Stand. About them being written, what he's working on, how his kids are doing, the growth of his kids. I mean, we basically in brief little snippets watch Joe and Owen and Naomi, I think, grow up. Um, but at the end of this, at the very, very tail end, um, something happens. And for me, it I'm listening to this thing in audio, mind you. It knocked me on my ass, and I'm just going to show you. Um, can you see that? Stephen King dies near Lovell home. Um, he was hit walking by a van, much like what happened in real life. But that's where we are left. We think Stephen King writing this series has some importance to where this is going, and he dies. The van that famously hit him and all that. He doesn't make it. In this particular reality, he doesn't make it. And for me, look, I'm 48. Stephen King is 77. I'm, I mean, I hope I'm lucky enough to outlive him. But so one day I'm going to read that headline. I'm going to read that Stephen King has died, and it's going to it's going to probably more so than any other famous figure. Like I think about that a lot. Big Springsteen fan. Won't affect me the way King does though. So anyway, so when I heard that, when it came over the Audible or the headphones, I was like, oh my god. So I don't know what's going to happen now. So we're he's written books 1 through 4, um, and we're in book 6, and we know that when people die in one existence, they show up in Midworld in some ways. I mean, at least Jake did. Father Callahan did. So, is Stephen King going to play a major role? Is Stephen King going to become a gunslinger? Is Stephen King going to play a major role in the 7th book? I don't know. I'm going to find out and I'm going to tell you. But at the end of the day, the keys for me in this book, again, it's nice to have Father Callahan back. Haven't heard from him since Salem's Lot. Having Stephen King as a character was just awesome for me, really. I mean, I played with it for a little bit in my head, but just awesome. And then, um, Mia slash Susannah has given birth. It has happened. And there is a surprise um like declaration made when that happens, but I'm not going to share that here. And that's where we're at. Be a big cliffhanger for sure. I have started the Dark Tower. I'm maybe 50 pages into it. It is 24 hours of um listening. Um so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I dug this one more than Kala, more than Keyhole, probably more than Wizard and Glass. So definitely, I guess in it more than I have been up to this point. Um, but yeah, Song of Susannah, Stephen King. This is Well Red Beard. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them, as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.